a lot of the investigating of the cases. So even though we don't have a full-time investigator on staff, she has been handling the predominantly the bulk of all the investigations that are coming through. So,
Don, I just want to make I want to make a correction.
okay.
That you have Octavia Christina Gernhardt was appointed by me, so she's the first district.
Oh,
You
okay.
have it listed as at-large.
Okay.
Desire is a large.
Okay, so we got that in reverse.
Yeah, so Octavia is my district.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get that corrected when I get back to the
Okay,
office.
thank you.
Also, before you move on, Lolita, with $65,000 base salary, is that competitive? Do you feel that when you were doing interviewing, did you had enough applicant? Was the attraction there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people were applying, but just didn't have the investigative piece that they needed to actually do the job. They have done other things within law enforcement, but just was not able to give me what I needed for investigative.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, continue, please.
Also, so we've been getting in a ton of new cases, new and old cases. I'm trying to catch up on those cases that will be expiring soon. So my main focus is to hit those cases first so that we can at least give them some kind of explanation as to what's going on with their case. We also discovered that the complaints that were being submitted, there was a glitch, so they were going to Raynet's email address and not coming to CRB. And we discovered that when someone called and said that they had submitted their complaint and they got a receipt back saying that we received it, but we never received it. So we gave a call to tech and we figured out that we were not getting them and we figured out why we weren't getting them. So in the process of doing that, we did get that corrected and fixed. We had gotten, was it
157 cases that were
157
going into
cases.
hyperspace.
And how long was that going on in terms of that glitch?
October until we just recently caught it.
October of last year to now?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And these 157 is what time?
2020, there were some from 2022.
Okay.
But then there were some that was 2024, and we did discover that even in some of the cases, we already had them, so they submitted them online, but they also brought them in. So out of the 154, 38 of them actually needed to be processed from the beginning. So we're pretty good on that with the 2024. We've been working pretty closely with the police department and their and the ops, the professional standard. We've been working closely with them with getting new cases in. We have a ton of those that are coming in as well. But again, it's about investigating and finding out what we can and can't deal with. Our community engagement specialists have been putting a lot of things out on to our social media pages to let people know, to inform the community of what type of cases we can and can't handle. We've been getting some that come from Liverpool, some that are from state troopers, some that are from within the jails, and those that are within the jails, we refer them to their committee so that they can be investigated as well.
In the county?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You talked about expiring cases. Out of 157, how many are expiring? Or at least approaching expiration?
So the 157 was knocked down to 38 because most of them we had already had. And then there were some that just didn't pertain to us, so we just referred out.
Okay.
So out of those cases, we definitely have the 38 that definitely need to be done from the beginning to the end process. But they're expiring around February, so we got a couple months to deal with them.
And do you think you have a bandwidth to pull it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let me ask a quick question about your board.
Yes.
Margaret Ann Chase, she expires
In December. Yes, ma'am.
So Peggy was actually a fill-in for one of the board members that ended. This morning, I drafted a letter to the mayor requesting that he extend her term to a full term, since she was only serving as a partial term. So waiting to hear back from.
Because I knew that she was recently put on, so.
Right.
Okay.
So, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
That's fine. So we have sent out, as you can see, closure letters, which was 57 of them. Those cases were 2023 and some of 2022, I want to say. Did we send? We sent a couple of them
Yep,
that were
2022.
2022, but majority of them were 2023, those that had expired before my time here. But we wanted to give them correspondence as to why the case was being closed. So we sent out those letters. Out of the 57 that we sent, 15 of them were returned, which means they didn't have a proper address or they were undeliverable. So
These letters going to complainants, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And like the administrator said, one of the things that we wanted to do was to show good faith that the CRB did get those letters. We had looked at those cases, and unfortunately, they had exceeded the time frame for us to do any investigation. But we wanted to get back with the complainant to let them know that we had looked at their cases and give them some closure on that. So
What's that? Remind me, the 18-month?
they had exceeded the 18 months.
18 month.
Right.
Okay, so once that 18-month mark hit, you send a letter. Does that just disappear? Is done? Is gone? Or what happened?
Under the legislation, there's nothing that we can do. So it becomes a moot case. And unfortunately, prior to the new establishment of this organization, there were a lot of cases that hit that mark, that there was nothing that we could do. There was no way to ratify changing that standard of 18 months. So our hands were tied as far as us doing the. I mean, even though we did look at a lot of those cases, because even though we couldn't have a hearing or anything like that, if there was something in those cases that warned us to send communication to Chief Cecil saying that, after reviewing some of these cases, even though the case doesn't rise to the status of having a hearing, there's some things that we saw in those cases that we need to address to the police department to help them better service the citizens of Syracuse. If there was like something that needed additional training or something of that nature, as we went through those cases, even though we couldn't adjudicate those cases, we at least got that information over to the chief saying that, these are some of the things that we see and that keep raising their ugly head and needs to be addressed by the police department. So,
Well, two things around that, Don. That is very helpful, right? That's very helpful. You close it out, yet you still have abstracted in critical information to be communicated with SPD.
that is correct.
Right? And with that, is there a way we could, as a council, get some of that note, or at least that compilation of report that you have sent to SPD, so we can also see what those recommendations were?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that would be wonderful.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so even with the closing of the cases and things of that nature, we've been having a really good, I'll say what we call a meet and greet with the chiefs monthly, every quarterly. So I've been to 2 meetings where we've addressed some issues that have come up in the community. Adonia and I have gone out to various places and tabled, and one of the places that we went to was the Center for Alternatives, Community Center for Alternatives. So we went there and had a tabling
CCA.
with them, yes, and got a whole lot of information and things like that, where there was a lot of legit questions that were police questions that we took back to the chiefs and presented to him to let him know what the community was saying as far as phone calls. You know, they call in the police and police are not showing up, or they've waited 2-3 hours, or, you know, they felt like they weren't being heard. Those type things where we sat at the table and tried to figure out a way to correspond to them, and let them know what they could and could not do. A lot of times it was about dispatching the calls, and the urgency of the call is what we received, which I can understand. You know, if somebody's cat got hit by a car, that's not going to be an emergency for the Syracuse Police Department. Of course, it's an emergency for the citizens because that's my cat. But to explain to them how these calls are dispatched out. We also, from just that one meeting, we set up a time to go to the 911 center to learn how they dispatch calls, what's important to the community, what's important to the police department, and how those calls are dispatched out and what areas and different quarters. You know, there's a north side, there's a south, there's a east, there's a west, and they, you know, showed us how they dispatch their phone calls and who's responsible for taking those calls. A lot of times there is a waiting period because there's not enough staff to actually answer these calls, which is something that we've been seeing in Syracuse with the Syracuse Police Department, with not having enough staff, enough police officers out there to be able to respond. Is it frustrating? Absolutely, it's frustrating. But to give them an explanation as to why they're waiting so long, because they don't know, and those that are in the community, they just want an answer. They want to know, why am I waiting this long? Why do I have to wait 2 hours for this type of call? Why do I have to wait to get a response? And so just sitting at the table with them, being able to get those responses, to be able to take back an answer to our community, to explain to them what's going on and how the calls are being dispatched. That was a plus for us at the CRB to be able to do that. It helped us out quite a bit, even with handing out our brochures and things like that. That helped us out. And then we're coming up with some other things based off of our 911 tour and the information that we received from the chief's office, where we will compile into our media, and we will make brochures as well as to how the calls are dispatched and things. We also set up, so not just the 911 call, what else did we do? We did the 911 call, and we did our,
Outreach at the
what is
Community
the-
Folk Arts Center.
Yes, the Community Folk Arts Center, where we did the Monster Mash for the community, where we had a Halloween party for the kids and their parents to come out. We also handed out brochures and information to allow them to see what it is that we do at the CRB. We've also been to Roberts Middle School. We met with, the name of the program is something Young Men. Oh my goodness. Working Young Men, yes. And so we met with them. We've been out quite a bit, so my mind is just all over the place. But we're trying to get ourselves out in the community, trying to get our face out in the community to let people know that we are here to help. So we did meet with them, which was a really good meeting with them and explaining to them what to do in case they come into police contact, because around 7th, 8th grade is where the younger kids are starting to interact with the police officers. So we want them to be comfortable with interacting with them, but also be aware of their surroundings and be aware of the things that are going on within the city, things that probably their parents don't talk about. So we talk about all those things and try to make sure that they are aware. We gave them little cards that says what to do if you get stopped by the police. So they have an A through Z of what to do if you're stopped by the police. We also gave them information. It's our thing is respect, and each one represents something. Each letter represents something different. You know, when you're pulled over, what to do and how to do it, how to stay calm, how to make sure you're respectful, how to make sure you're talking calmly, ask questions if you need to, no sudden moves, those type things where it makes the community comfortable and it also makes the police department comfortable. So we did that as well, and we have a couple of other things that are coming up that we are planning on attending, like the senior, what is that, the senior, we just talked about it today. Senior fair at OCC. We're tabling at that, and I think that's pretty much about it, other than the caseloads that are coming in, we're working on daily, and trying to get those completed and out there, and making sure that the community have a response, and the complainants that have submitted cases are getting responses from us. Our secretary has been absolutely wonderful with making sure that the intake is done with them. They're getting responsive letters to say that we have received them. And then we do follow-up interviews afterwards. After we review the case, then we meet with them and have an in-person conversation, and to see what it is that they would have done, what would they like to see done with the police department in regards to their complaint and also to their cases.
I have a question, and I'm going backwards.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
When you said that the investigator, what do you do? Just put out an advertisement, or do you do an RFP?
So we have it on Indeed. That's what I was told to do, to put the,
Because it's a job at the.
it's a job, right? So we put it out on Indeed with the description of what we're looking for. So there's a whole job listing of what the qualifications would be, what background we are looking for, what degree we're looking for, all of that, and the skills that they may have. Also, computer skills that you may need to be able to do the investigation, and see if they're familiar with those things.
You know, and we've had a couple applicants that came in. Unfortunately, because of their green card status, great candidates, but their green cards were coming up in the next year or whatever, or 2 years from now. So we were unable to bring those people on board because in 2 years they would be gone.
With green card?
With the
With the temporary?
temporary
Okay,
work
okay,
visa.
okay, temporary work visa. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
unfortunately, we were not able to bring a couple of those people on board. But so it has some very good candidates that have come through that we've had interview on. We had the board doing the interview for the position, and then the administrator would make the final decision on who she felt comfortable working with. So
Do we, as a city, and this may be for you, I don't know, do we have a sponsorship? Do we sponsor people as a city?
like an
Or is that a
N1B visa?
Work sponsorship?
No, we don't.
We
Not,
don't do
not that I know of.
Okay,
Not that I know of either.
we don't, okay.
Let's see. We have one case that's coming up for hearing that the board has voted on. The representative for the city police has requested additional information that we sent over. So the attorney is going to get back with us. We had given out several dates for the actual hearing, and based on the attorney's requests, they're going to get back with us on when we can have that hearing for that individual case. So.
And how is the relationship? How is the transition of information, transmitting of information back and forth when you ask and when they ask? Is that going smoothly, or are there glitches?
Actually, since we've gotten evidence.com on board, things have gotten really smooth.
Okay. What is that like?
That means we get data instead of having to send a request up to the ops and then have them compile it and then send that information down and then use up more disk space on the office computer. It's in real time. So anytime we get a case in, we can go directly out to evidence.com, pull all that information down, and start reviewing the case. So it helps speed up the process of getting a lot of those cases out of the way. So, and so far we have a very good working relationship with the officers in the Internal Affairs Office. They're always there to give us information if we need additional information. So,
And who housed that? Who housed?
evidence.com is Exxon is
It's Exxon.
It's Exxon that controls that environment. So.
Any more?
So one of the things that I've sort of taken under my wing to do before I leave there is what I'm looking at doing is pulling the data from the city police department working with our new analytic person to map out what's going on in each of the areas over the course of the last 3 years. If we see an influx of incidents happening in this area based on this time frame, based on this ethnic background, so then coming up with a solution on how we can address some of those issues that are taking place and letting the data drive the decision on where we go from there. So, and
Do we ever know the age where a lot of these complaints are happening?
those are some of the things that we're working on now, is
With
pulling
that-
together
the
that
you're
data.
Trying to abstract.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. No, that'll be a good,
yeah.
and I like what you are doing, especially being proactive around what to do when you are stopped by an officer, or at least when you come into interaction with a police officer, what an individual should do, their rights, their approach, and just be, because a lot of this stuff sometimes is escalate, sometimes unnecessarily.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely. A lot of times
Right.
unnecessarily.
Right?
of the time.
If there was an awareness into how that interaction, both between the officer and the citizen, a lot of it could be avoided.
Yeah.
Right? With the right information, of course.
One of the things that I'm concerned about, that I'm looking at trying to get implemented, is that new Americans have a fear of reporting issues that are taking place. So we're trying to get in that direction where we make sure that they know that they have a voice to go to help them alleviate some of the problems that they're having, that they don't have to suffer through things, that we're here and we're here to help them get things rectified. So,
And I think having desire there as one
Oh,
of your board
absolutely.
member who's very, very active individual.
Absolutely.
And a very active leader in the New American community. He can help do a lot of that bridging, you
Yeah.
know. So he's very useful.
well, one of the things I have to say about the board is that we have a very good, strong board now. We're still looking for a replacement for Corey's district up on the Westcott area. Got a couple of feelers out for that to get that done. But the board works together very well. We had I brought the board in for a training session a couple of weeks ago because what we need to do is to make sure that each board member knows how to look at the cases. Just to give you a background on how this process works. So when we get a case in, when the administrator goes through, or once we get an investigator on there, he'll give us a listing of cases to review. We then put those cases out there and into an external drive where each of the board members can go in and review each of the cases before we have the meetings on the first Thursday of the month. But a lot of the board members didn't understand how that whole process works, so I wanted to bring them in, show them how the training session goes, what to look for. We used a mock case, and then we had some documentation on them to write down notes on what they saw, how they reviewed the case, what they thought was going on, and that way we're all on one page. So when we go into executive session and we're reviewing the cases, everybody's familiar with the case, and because it's a democracy, everybody has a one-vote decision, and however the vote goes, that's the way the board goes. So if the board votes to have a hearing, we have a hearing. If the board votes down, then the case is resolved, and then we issue a letter to the complainant saying that the board didn't find justification for having a hearing, therefore we're closing out the case. So.
No, this is wonderful, Don. I think, it's certainly very pleasing for us to hear that the board is in a good place.
Yeah.
Because, we have been in such a tumultuous time and period and to get to this point, I think it's something that, you should feel proud, both of you, that you have brought the board to this point, and the council should also feel very good about the working relationship that we have developed with the CRB by giving you guys the right individuals, and I'm
Well-
happy that it's working out.
And to just sort of highlight that is that the board is now more involved in the office than ever before. So we're trying to bridge that collection between the board members and the people in the office, that we're there to support them when they need us. And so it has worked out very well for us.
That's not a problem for you, right? Because there's usually, you know, when operation and you know, fiduciary, but not fiduciary, you know, the board and the staff, there could be a clash sometime if it is not addressed well. But it seems like you guys are mitigating it well.
Yeah, doing very well at that. So.
We have definitely established a working relationship between both, and I think there's an understanding of what the expectations are when the board comes in to our office, and there's an expectation from the staff as well when the board is there in the office of what needs to be done, how things need to be done, and what can be presented, what can't be presented, what can be shown, what can't be shown, that type deal, so that they understand what our job is, but also understand what their job is as well as the board. One of the other things that we have implemented or that we're implementing is we spoke with the police department, and they're going to give us a civilian training for just the CRB staff alone. And then we've also inquired about civilian training for the community themselves. So I know that the Syracuse Police Department puts on a civil academy, and so whenever they establish that again, we will definitely put that on our media website as well, so that everyone will know. We will invite the community to see how policing is done so that they can see through their civilian eyes of how an officer responds, what's the time frame, you know, how they make their decisions, when they make their decisions, and why they make the decisions that they make. Also implementing policies, procedures, rules, and regulations so that they understand that and also their rights, because a lot of things are falling within the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures, and people feel like it goes against their rights. And so we just want to make sure we show them an even balance so that they can see why things are being done the way that they are.
One of the other things is that in the office, I noticed is that on Friday is a staff meeting where the staff gets together and review what went on in the week, what worked, what didn't work. So the next week, we can, those things that didn't work, we can get rid of, winnow off. Those things that are working, that we can proactively go after to make sure that the office is running efficiently. And everyone's being served in the community, not only the citizens, but also the officers. So,
How are you? Are you still at a backlog of cases, or
Yes.
we are still in a backlog
Yes.
of cases.
going back how far?
Just 2024. So those ones, again, that are approaching the time, which will be the ones that we just got in, their expiration date is in February, so we have a couple months to work on.
Did you have to review these and
Yes.
talk to the person
Yes.
again? Is there any outreach when they're waiting to talk with police? They're on the case.
From what I gather, the professional ops office, they will interview, and when they interview, it's usually recorded. They send all of that down to us, part of the evidence, and we are able to see whatever their interview is, and then we can pull them in after we review everything, and we can have our interview with them and have conversation with them as well.
Sometimes as a district counselor, we'll get all forms of calls and might deal with new Americans, so it's good what you're doing, really reaching out to the new Americans.
Right.
Because I'm also concerned what goes on with ICE, too.
Oh,
And there's
absolutely.
and that's that fear. You know, they could claim they're a police officer when they're not, so
Right.
it's something we have to work with.
I want to shift gears a little bit. Are you all set?
Yep.
I want to shift gears a little bit by saying, you know, at this point, you know, that we are in a good place now. And in the past, the board, especially somebody like you, Don, who has been involved for a while, had requested that because of some operation that there were limitations on how the board do their business because of the restriction around the legislation.
Right.
And there was a conversation that this legislation would need to be updated, in which the update of legislation is solely for the council, right? The council would be the entity to do that. I've spoken with a number of you guys on the board that there is a need for that. I don't know if that sentiment is still in place.
Well, here's the thing is that we're dealing with an antiquated legislation that needs to be updated. I mean, this is 2025. New rules need to be set up and put in place. And we need to start evaluating what works and doesn't work under the old legislation. Because there are some stumbling blocks and some hurdles that sort of confines us to doing what we need to do that need to be corrected and rewritten and approved by the council. So,
yeah. So that is something that I think we would entertain it somehow, but it would need, again, this working relationship, I think, is valued by the council, and we hope that the CRB is valuing the same collaboration to figure that out collectively.
oh, absolutely.
And I think what would need to happen is and we spoke about this before, to be able to say, okay, here are our limitations, and then we can the council can put, I think Pam did it, our current
In 2011.
2011 instituted a legislation to allow the community, the council, to get individuals from the community with collaboration with the board to figure out those individuals that would investigate and go out and make those interviews and do research to figure that out.
Right.
And I think that before that happened, it would need to have an official legislation ordinance that would authorize that to happen.
And I agree with you, but I think that because it is antiquated, so we do know that. But anytime the council tries to insert something different, the community loses their mind.
Yep.
So we have to have an understanding that it is up to us as legislators to write in different things in different parts of the law.
Oh, absolutely.
And we are grateful for your collaboration, and let's figure that out offline, and then when it's time to come here, however long that would take, as it takes time, then we'll go from there. But I think that would be the first step before we do anything, to say, let's authorize the legislation from this body to open the door so that those amendments and those recommendations can take place. We need to do that. Right, Madam President? You know this better than anybody.
I totally agree. I agree.
Right.
Don't hang us out there like on the chopping block.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we'll talk more about that. My last question before I see if Madam President and Council Nave has one is, what do you need from us?
Yeah.
It's a very loaded question.
Right now, we are progressing quite well. No stumbling blocks we've come across as of yet. The office, like I said, is running, on all 10 cylinders. We have a great staff in place. Everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing, and they're doing it. And then I'm there just helping out, making sure that we make sure that the board, the council, and the office are all on one accord, that we're all moving in the same direction and not off into some tangent somewhere else. So, and you and I talk quite a bit about different things that are going on. So I make sure that I transfer that over to the administrator on what we need to do and how we need to get it done. So, but our sole purpose is to make sure that the citizens of Syracuse are being heard, and that a lot of times it's not to their liking or the outcome, but we want to let them know that we are here to make sure that their voice is being heard, And if we see any injustice or any infractions, that we make sure that we get that over to those who are in power to make changes and get things done. So other than that, I think we're off to a great year. I think 2026 is going to be a phenomenal year, not only for the Citizen Review Board, but for the board, for the council, and most importantly, for the citizens of Syracuse. So.
Anything else? You
Just
good?
your continued support
okay?
is all that we need.
I was going to say, I think you're going to get a heads up whoever the new police chief is.
Yes.
Hopefully it's within, so that's good.
So yeah, once we get a new police chief in, we will definitely be scheduling a meeting just to sit down and start building those bridges and those connections between the new chief, the Citizen Review Board, and the Citizen Review Office. So.
Forward to it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Madam President, Councilor Nave, Don, and Nolita for coming here and for this healthy discussion. And I want to thank our viewers as well, and that will conclude our meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate you guys.